Good afternoon, everyone. Oops, no, oh, sorry. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. We acknowledge that we're in the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe peoples in the Huron-Robinson Treaties area. We recognize the long history of First Nations and Métis peoples on this land and show respect to them today. We acknowledge that we have important neighbors, the Wattamohawks and the First Nations of Moose Deer, Shawniga, Wasauksing, Magnetawan, Henry Inlet, Nipissing, and the Dokies. We must ensure that the decisions we make today will take into consideration the future of our children and that of our children's children's. As settlers on this land, we're grateful for the opportunity to meet here, and we thank all of the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. So I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask for an approval of the agenda. We have 3 additional items on today's addendum. The delegation from the West Perry Sound Health Center Foundation has been removed. It'll reappear on a later meeting. We also have correspondence on item number 8 concerning the Della Maestra property the correspondence is from Jim Walker. And there's item D has been added to item 14 in the closed session regarding the Ontario Deaf for the Camp for the Deaf. So with those changes, can I have the approval of the agenda? Thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Nope. Minutes. I have a motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby adopt the minutes of the regular and closed session meetings of Council held on March 3rd, 2025 as circulated. Could I have a mover? Ted?
Ted wasn't there.
Oh, Ted can't be there. Okay. Oh, Terry. Yes, Terry was there. Weren't you there at the last meeting? Yep.
No,
Okay.
it was Terry.
No, I wasn't there.
Mary, oh, and Ken. All in favor?
Hi,
Thanks, Gail.
you're welcome.
Now I have to do this. I have motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby adjourn the regular meeting to hold a public meeting for the following matter. It's an official plan amendment application number OPA-1 2025-0001-S for a municipally initiated rural severance policy amendment. Could I have a mover? Ted? Seconder? All in favor? Moving into the public meeting. Thank you.
Aye.
Council will now hold a public meeting for a proposed official plan amendment application. In accordance with the Planning Act, Council will consider all matters placed before it prior to considering an official plan amendment. Anyone wishing to receive notice of a decision or notice of adoption of an official plan amendment and who has not submitted such a request in writing should provide your full name and address to the Deputy Clerk. No one other than the prescribed persons may appeal an application under the provisions of the Planning Act. If they do not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin prior to the decision of Council, then the Ontario Land Tribunal may dismiss the appeal. The purpose of the proposed official plan amendment is to amend the policies that limit lot creation in rural and resource areas. The current policy set restricts new lot creation to a certain number of new lots per original lot size and places a limit on new severances on lots that have existed since 2007. The amendment proposes that new lots only meet a minimum size and frontage. The goal is to create more flexible lot creation policies that prioritize lot size, frontage, and character over historical severance activity. I now ask the Deputy Clerk to state the method by which the notice of the meeting was provided and the dates on which that notice was provided.
Notice of the public meeting was provided by posting on the Township of Seguin's website and by posting on perrysound.com on March 14th, 2025. Notice was therefore considered to be provided in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act.
Has the Township received any correspondence with respect to this application?
No correspondence has been received.
Is there anyone present in person in the council chambers who wishes to speak in favor of or in opposition to this application? I don't see anybody. Has anyone registered to speak to this application via electronic participation?
No one has registered to speak to this application via electronic participation.
Does council have any questions? Councillor Adams.
The only question I have is, they reduce the amount of severs done, I think it's 15 a year. They're reducing that to 12, is that correct?
Director LG, can you respond to that?
Through your worship, it's actually recommended to get rid of that provision entirely that limits it to a maximum of 15 per year in the rural and resource area.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Adams?
Yes.
Councillor Bazinski.
I was just wondering, Taylor, I missed it perhaps, but is there a limit on the number of severances per owned property? Like it used to be, I think, 3.
Through your worship, that is proposed to be removed, and in its place being a bit more stringent and requiring larger lots by frontage and area. Thought being, rather than having a timeline of if you've created lots since 2007, sorry, you're out of luck. But let's protect the actual character and size and function of the rural area. If you look at page 21 of the agenda package for council and the public, it does provide a first draft of what's being proposed. And you'll see where details are being removed, but also some being added.
Councillor Finson.
Does it, does this affect the backlot bylaw that says if you are backlot and you have to be 300 meters from a water source, that kind of thing? Does it affect that bylaw?
Through your worship, this does not affect the backlot policies. Those are proposed to remain untouched, and this would just be more classic rural development that is greater than 300 meters from the shoreline of any lake.
Okay. So it affects just rural lots that were restricted prior to now to
Correct.
a bit more development. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. No other questions? Thank you. Council will now close the public meeting and reconvene our regular meeting. I have a motion that the public meeting held for the following matter is hereby closed and the regular meeting is hereby reconvened. And that was for the official plan amendment application OPA 2025-0001-S. Mario and Ken. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Council will now consider the following road shore allowance. Shore road allowance application number RAS-2024-0014-H for 2657406 Ontario Inc. on Clear Lake, bylaw number 2025-018. Have any written objections been received related to this application?
No written objections have been received related to this application.
Is there anyone present in the council chambers? There is not. Please, has anyone registered to speak via electronic?
No one has registered to speak to this application via electronic participation.
I have a motion that bylaw number 2025-018, being a bylaw to close, stop up, and sell portions of original shore road allowance, application number RAS 2024-0014-H for 2657406 Ontario Inc. is hereby deemed to have been read a first, second, and third time and passed by council. Ken? Thank you. And Gail? All in favor? Thank you. And
Aye.
that is carried. Okay, so we skip over the delegation and move to item 8 for staff reports. I have a motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby receive the staff reports as presented on the agenda for April 7th, 2025 meeting of council. Could I have a mover? Gail and Ted. All in favor? Thank you. I think we're gonna see Sean here. Sean, do you want to take us through this report?
Which report is it?
This is the bylaw enforcement report, item 8.
Yeah, so this one is just updating council on where we are with bylaw. Since we've hired the 2 new members and we've put them on shift rotation. So now we have coverage 7 days a week, days and afternoon shift, summer and winter. So I ran some numbers just for your interest. So in 2024, we ran 428 occurrences through the bylaw office. And out of that, just as a point of interest, 111 of those were after hours. So that's why we looked at having the after hours crews available as well. And last year we did not have 7-day-a-week coverage. That was 5 days a week. So we didn't have coverage on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, which in turn was covered by me. And then so far this year in 2025, we are sitting at 57 calls. And keep in mind, bylaw staff just went on this shift rotation starting March 23rd.
Thank you. Does council have any questions? Councillor Collins.
In your report for 2000, in the 2024 report, was there a list of possible occurrences that were fined?
I didn't dig that deep into it. I can through our recording system. I just pulled these numbers together for today, but I could look at specifics to see what types of calls.
Yes, like if any money's coming to the treasury or not, or also if the I guess you could tell if there's a number of warnings given out that the bylaw officers would be doing a good job, especially if they didn't have to give out a fine for whatever the occurrence is. So, okay, thanks, Chief.
Yeah, so that is kind of our approach right now is to get compliance. So whether it's through warnings or discussion with property owners or vehicle owners, and we seem to be getting some pretty good compliance. We're not getting any pushback. We have the odd one with dogs, like little things, but so far, yeah, it seems to be working with this approach.
I'll just jump in too. Thank you, Your Worship. Through Sean's leadership and with the rest of the team, we do take that approach of engaging with the public and educating before we ever consider moving to enforcement. That's sort of drives that compliance before you have to issue a ticket. The ideal bylaw department is that there isn't one, to be honest with you, and that there is no problems, but we know that's not real. So we do certainly take a very strong engage and educate approach before we ever consider enforcement. So it is our goal not to issue tickets, but there are times where after engaging and educating, you just can't. So you have to move to that final stage.
Thank you very much for the report and for also the shift change. Let's see how it works through the summer. So we move to the report on page 79 for the Freedom of Information summary for the year. Is Donna or Craig going to speak to it? Andrea? Andrea, you going to speak to it?
I can speak to it. It's just an information report for council. States that we had 44 requests under the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, and all were completed within the legislated timeframe. So it's just for council's information.
Thank you. And once again, we're going to call on Sean, our fire chief, for a report on the renewal of the fire dispatch agreement with the West Perry Sound Health Center.
Yeah, so what this is the communication center located in the West Perry Sound Health Center does our fire dispatching for us. So that's dispatching the fire department to incidents, as well as documenting communications throughout the incident. We've been using them as far back as I can see is around 2006. And it's the contract expired in December of this year, December 31st of 24. So it was up for renewal. And so I'm just bringing it forward to council to approve renewal of this agreement.
So I have a motion that bylaw number 2025-025, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a fire dispatch agreement between the West Perry Sound Health Center and the Corporation of the Township of Seguin for the provision of communication services, is hereby deemed to have been read a first, second, and third time and passed by council. Can I have a mover? Ted and Ken? All in favor? Thank you. And that's carried. And we move into the planning reports. I have a motion that bylaw number 2025-020, being a bylaw to amend the Township of Seguin zoning bylaw number 2006-125, property roll number 4903-020-002-10500, application number R 2024-0028-R for McKay, is hereby deemed to have been read a first, second, and third time and passed by council. I need a mover. Terry. Can I have a seconder? Mario. Are there any questions? Or Councillor Finson has a question for you, Director LG.
My question is, when we spoke about it at last council meeting, did I remember that the covenant didn't apply to that? There was some kind of a covenant, remember? And it didn't apply to that? Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood it right, that it actually doesn't apply to the neighboring property, it applies to their own property. Is that what I understood?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
The covenant in question doesn't apply to the property requesting to be rezoned today.
It only applies to them, is that?
It actually applies to the property, I believe, to the west. So this property here
Oh, I
isn't
see, okay.
impacted by the covenant.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Collins.
I guess my a question is to the Director of Planning. How did you come to the decision that this should be brought to council, especially when you look at, you know, how long this has been going on for, number one, and number two, the increase in meters of the boathouse, where only 15 meters is permitted, and they're proposing 22 meters. So actually an increase, a substantial increase. So I would think, this is my understanding, is wouldn't have this gone to the Committee of Adjustments first before it came to us?
Director LG, can you reply to that?
Through your worship, so the boathouse is only 11 meters wide, so they're not actually asking for any increases to the boathouse's size or dimensions. What brings this to council is the property as it turned out, erroneously zoned EP due to really old fish habitat mapping. But the area where they're requesting to put the boathouse, which you can see on page 104, the PDF, it's in the green crosshatch called Reach 2. That isn't the sensitive type of fish habitat. So essentially the rezoning is not going to keep the fish habitat there. It's going to give it a special EP zone, but it will add some additional lands that actually are EP to the west in the Reach 1. But the boat house is being reduced in size from what the bylaw will allow as of right. So it'll only be 1 story rather than a 1.5 story, which could be permitted on a lot of this size. And the minimum setbacks from the west are being increased from 15 meters to 22 meters.
And it'll be under site plan control, of course.
Correct, it will be.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor? I have a motion that bylaw number 2025-024, being a bylaw to amend Township of Seguin zoning bylaw number 2006-125, property roll number 4903-010-001-11200, application number R 2024-0007-H for Della Maestra is hereby deemed to have been read a first, second, and third time and passed by council. Can I have a motion to put this on the table? Ken and Mario. And I'm going to ask Director LG to take us through what this is.
Certainly. This file has a bit of history. So it was deferred last May. So when it first came forward, the applicant requested to build a 1.5 story, 2 internal slip, 1 boat port slip, so a 3 slip boathouse on the property. There was a lot coverage exemption. And at that point, it was noted that it's not just zoning issues that are present, but there's also a restrictive covenant on title, which does not allow for the construction of a boathouse. So upon staff's recommendation, council deferred it to allow the applicant time to note how will you deal with this restrictive covenant when the zoning, whether or not successful, may or may not give you the right to a boathouse. You still can't do it because of restricted covenant. They came back and they have requested a holding provision. A holding provision essentially might allow for something conceptually, but until the H symbol is lifted, you don't actually get it. In this case, they actually reduced their request from a 1.5 story, 3 slip boathouse to a 2 slip boat port. So that reduces the size of it. It'll be flat roofed rather than having a guest cabin. And the H symbol cannot be lifted unless the restrictive covenant is removed, which that's an entirely separate lane, which isn't the topic for today's report.
Does council have any questions? Councillor Finson.
Through you, your worship, I'm wondering if removing a restrictive covenant is a dangerous thing to do. I mean, we've obviously had issues with the property for a very long time, and I don't think lifting that covenant is a good idea in any case. Is there any way you can build a wall-less? I like the idea of no walls, just where you can put your boat with something covering it. Maybe that would be okay, but not to lift the covenant, because the boathouse may become a boathouse instead of a boat port very easily and very quickly if the covenant is lifted. So my concerns would be lifting that covenant. I would not be in favor of lifting it. Anyway, that's all I have. I just don't know what the implications are. I do know that once you lift it, it's not there. So then anything can happen. And as we know, sometimes it's do it now and ask for forgiveness. So I'm just concerned that would lead to something else.
Taylor, correct me if I'm wrong. We're not recommending changing anything about the covenant at this point?
You are correct. Lifting or removing the covenant is not being recommended or part of this staff report.
And I
Thank you.
do want to point out that currently our zoning bylaw restricts boat ports to one wall. The proposed boat port has 2 walls, and we've had correspondence from Mr. Walker asking us to stick to our definition of a boat port if we allow it. Any other questions? So in voting, you are allowing the boat port with a holding H on the property, which prohibits any current building. Everybody under? Councillor Fellner.
So we're allowing a boat port that conforms to our zoning bylaw. We're not allowing a boat port as depicted in this presentation.
I believe so.
What is included in the bylaw would be boat port, which does exceed the lot coverage calculation, but it would have 2 walls instead of 1. So the boat port illustrated in the staff report on page, give me a second here, page 162 of the PDF is what is proposed and in the bylaw.
But the bylaw currently only allows 1 wall, correct?
The parent bylaw does, yes, but their request is for two walls.
Councillor Fellner, do you have comment on
That answers my question.
answers? So,
I'm sure I want to support that.
okay. Councillor Bazinski.
Yeah, really, the whole concept of a boat port is something that doesn't have permanent walls. You know, what's the difference between that and a boathouse? If you know, boat ports that I've seen on the lake that we're on have either canvas or some form of a waterproof covering, and a lot of times in the wintertime, the roof is taken right off and they're on supports, but not walls. And I'm really not in favor of walls, because you start having one wall and it leads to a boathouse. So I would be not supportive of having walls.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Collins.
Yes, you know, I've made up my mind, but I want to, I'm going to say, I can't approve it the way it's sitting at this time. Because it goes against our bylaws. So why would we do that? I don't understand it. And as Terry and Muriel has said, 2 walls lead to a boathouse down the road. The next term of council, who knows?
Councillor Adams.
Yeah, the design they got on there is, it doesn't even look like a boat port. It's got 2 walls. All I have to do down the road is add a wall to the back, you got a boathouse. So I wouldn't approve this at all.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, which allows the boathouse as drawn on 162. And I will call for a vote. All in favor of passing this? Oh, sorry, Director Algie, do you want to speak to this?
Yes, if one option is to table this for now, we can go back to the applicant and see whether or not they'd want to get rid of one of those walls and replace it with 2 posts. That way it will comply with the definition of boat port versus refusing it, which the only other option is OLT. This might still be avoidable.
Okay, could I have a motion to defer? Oh. Oh, sorry, Counselor Bazinski.
Yeah, I'd put a motion forward to defer.
Okay, and you'll second it. Okay, hang on. Deferral. Moved. Mario. Seconded. Okay, so we have a motion to defer this to allow the applicant an opportunity to comply with our existing bylaw of a one-wall boat port, sorry. So I think, can I just call for the vote on the deferral? Okay, all in favor of deferring? And that is carried. Do we want to put a date of when it is deferred to? A month? No, doesn't matter? Okay, we'll leave it up to the applicant to pick the date, okay? So it is deferred. Oops, am I in the wrong place? Sorry. Thanks for coming, gentlemen. No, one was the architect and one was the lawyer. I knew who they were.
They're mad.
Okay, we move on to Public Works. Who's going to speak to it? Is it Preston, Forrest, or Tom? Okay. Counselors, I'm going to move on to item 8F, which is a public consultation strategy on our waste management. And I believe Preston is going to speak to this. Thank you, Preston. You've done the work. So take us through what this is recommending.
Thank you. Through your worship, happy to provide a little bit of additional information on this report. Going a little bit back in time, in 2023, Seguin Township partnered with Dillon Consulting Limited in the development of a solid waste management strategy. Following this strategy, and mainly based on the findings of it and unresolved questions from it, Seguin Township began work on a waste management review in early 2025. This review focused heavily around certain questions, specifically staffing, transportation, waste tonnage, non-resident waste, and mainly the overall efficiencies or inefficiencies of the system. During this process, staff determined there's several questions still remain unanswered. These questions, along with some of the priorities identified in the initial Dillon report, necessitated a potential and need for a second round of public consultation. So today we're hoping to get staff's council's approval to conduct a second round of public consultation on our waste management system. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Does council have any questions? For their recommending going into public consultation is really, you're just looking for direction. Is that right? Okay. Councilor Bazinski.
Thank you. Preston, on the first go around, I had some comments, and one of the things, for example, is really there was no talk about the impact on our landfill. And, you know, if you're going to go into a second round of public consultation, I would support that. I think it would be nice if maybe council could have a review of the questionnaire, if you're going to go with the questionnaire, and, you know, the consultation strategy. Are you going to send out letters to the all the associations in the township to request their input? You know, just sort of what the strategy is going to be, because, you know, there were a number of recommendations that, you know, another example is putting in a weigh scale. Do we have enough volume really to make a weigh scale, a strong suggestion, and what are the implications in terms of staffing and so on. I could see 2 to 4 additional staff in the township necessary to implement, a very comprehensive study. So I'm not knocking anything. I'm supporting it. I just would like to get a little bit more information before things go out to the public. That would be my comments.
Preston, do you have some feedback for Councillor Bazinski?
Through your worship, yes, I do. I could talk a little bit about the strategy as of right now for sure. So we're hoping to probably initiate a 2-factor kind of strategy. One being a survey via online, virtual, where we're hoping, yes, to engage the different associations via email prior to handing out the survey to try to maximize engagement there. And depending as well, we are potentially considering an in-person one as well at some of the more busier sites, giving people this actual link or providing the actual survey itself and virtual copy as well. So we're hoping to do both virtual and potentially in person to try to hopefully get as much results as we can. So the overall strategy is that. The survey questions themselves are still being written. So we can provide, if council wishes to have that provided, we can likely go through with that. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I mean, before we got going too far on development of a survey questionnaire and the strategy, we wanted to make sure that this was the direction the council wanted us to proceed with. So, I'm imagining that, trying to read the tea leaves here, that we will get the instructions to proceed with the public engagement. As we develop the fine details of that, we'll be sure to share with council the package that will eventually make its way out, so that you have an opportunity to see and understand and ask any questions you may have before we fully engage with the public. But we are looking to turn this around in the next couple of weeks and start that process early, so that we hit the ground running as seasonal traffic starts to arrive and we're able to capture feedback from all of our residents.
Let me go to a couple other and then I'll come back to you. Councillor Fellner.
Thank you. So I think, the original strategy identified some, I guess, for want of a better word, weaknesses in our existing collection and disposal system. And hopefully, the goal is to overall increase the efficiency of our collection and disposal, maybe look at how do we tighten up the waste volumes, unauthorized waste volumes going in, and in effect, in the end, create some cost savings efficiencies. The one thing, and I know I've heard this comment a couple of times, and not everybody might be clear, but the household garbage that's collected in the trans stores in this township goes to the McDougall landfill. Doesn't go to the Seguin landfill. What goes to the Seguin landfill is all the junk that they throw on the ground that they should be taken to the Seguin landfill. Old beds and, all that stuff, right? Bolts and, which is a huge problem, right? So I welcome this, get some data. Let's find out what the tonnages are and the costs, and, and then the other thing I might suggest is when you go for public engagement, I think, engage with the public's a great idea, but maybe you should consider doing it site by site too.
Yes, settlement area.
And interview the users and see if you can pick different trends and that type of thing up. So I'm fully support. Good job and good initiative, and thank you very much, because we've been asking for this for quite some time.
Thank you. Councillor Collins.
And that's what I was going to mention, is that we can have our public engagements at our settlement areas, at our community centers, and engage with the public that way, and advertise it on our signage out front, and dates, and see what the turnout is, and see what the public has to say as well. and let them know what a good job we are doing moving this forward.
Councillor Bazinski, this comment.
Yes, no, I'm supportive of it as well. I'd like to maybe understand a little bit better what is going on. My concept was that, or my understanding was that we sent waste to McDougall, but we also sent waste to Southern Ontario, as opposed to just McDougall. And that some waste did go to our landfill. So maybe if, as part of the study, we could just have a bit more clear understanding of the waste streams and where they're being disposed of. That would be good. And just I think the idea of interviewing users is a good idea, but I'm not sure if trying to catch them at the landfill is good, because my experience has been they want to offload the garbage and they want to get out of there. So I think I'd like the idea of an organized event where people could do that, whether online or in a community center. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you hear strong council support for the community consultation. So we'll look forward to your plan. One thought I had is I'm starting to attend Lake Association meetings now. And in most of them, I know approximately how many people will be there just from past experience. If your questionnaire is ready, I can take them with me to the Lake Association meetings and have people fill them out right then and there. So the first sets of meetings are May 24th weekend, and they go right through till kind of mid-August. But that's a way to actually hand people a survey and get them to fill it out and drop it off at the end of the meeting. If you want to explore that, I'd be happy to help. Jason.
Your worship, in the report, we're suggesting a public consultation period that opens as early as April 22nd, or a little bit earlier if we can, but concluding around June 1st. The reason and rationale behind that is that, of course, if there's going to be any changes, we've got to be able to summarize, get it back to council, get some instructions, and then if there's going to be any budget implications, cost savings or otherwise, expenditures, we need that information this summer if we want to have a positive impact in 2026 with any changes. So just a little caution that extending the consultation in through August, we're happy to do that. It's going to put some pressure on whether or not we're able to actually move to any sort of form of implementation if there are recommendations that are endorsed by council. Because by August, the budgets are well in development, and we would still be contemplating the results of those findings at that point. So again, the report is recommending opening up as soon as April 22nd and looking to close the public consultation around June 1st so that we have ample time to get back to council. And I don't suspect that this is going to be a single solution response to waste management for the township. There's going to be a variety of different options and alternatives on how we manage waste into the future. Like many of the bigger reports, this isn't one that I suspect we bring to you included on an agenda package and you make a decision the following Monday. I suspect this is going to take a bit of time, likely a series of questions that'll have to go back and forth before we're able to land on what the direction is that council would like to see. So again, just sharing a little caution as to how long we extend. If we extend beyond June 1st, that it's going to have implications down the road if we want to see implementation in 2026.
Okay, thank you. My offer still stands, though, Preston. You can talk to me about how we could write. Maybe we could just do it electronically to each of the lake associations. Talk to me if you want the link into them offline. But you have your council support. Go for public consultation. Good report. Thank you.
Thanks.
And I think we have Michelle now on the year-end surplus recommendation, which appears on page 448 of your agenda package.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. The December 31st, 2024 year-end surplus is projected to be just over $62,000. And we're recommending that we carry it forward so that we can reduce the tax rate increase for 2025. As it refers to in the report, we were originally looking at a tax rate increase of 5.562% on the municipal rate. This would bring that down to 5.158. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Does council have any questions?
Yes, we do.
Councillor Collins.
Hi, Michelle. I know we've got a few choices here. So I would recommend, my choice would be that your first choice is reducing the current tax rate simply because that affects every single resident in Seguin Township who owns property and pays property taxes. So that's the one that I would consider voting for because of it. It involves everybody, every single person in our township. Thanks.
Okay, I think all you need is direction, I believe, isn't it, Michelle?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
So you made, okay, I think you're seeing council accepts your recommendation and we reduce our tax rate a little bit. So thank you. Thank you for the report and the recommendation. Item 8G, 9, it's business 9. I will ask Councillor Fellner to discuss it a little bit, and I do have a motion after you explain it. No, that's what was in your council package on the page that had the error. Okay. Come back, but you want to talk to this?
Thank you, Mayor. So what I'm doing here is asking for your support to instruct staff to go away and come back with a draft bylaw to control on-site crushing, which has been problematic in the past, and there's nothing on the books to prevent it, especially if it's set up in a residential neighborhood with noise and dust and that type of thing. It's, we have a lot of licensed quarries in the township that, have to let us know what they're doing all the time in order to keep their license. So I think we should, I've asked planning to see if they could come back with something that would let us control this. So simply asking for your agreement to instruct staff to go ahead and bring us something to look at, maybe the next meeting, I guess. Yeah. And thank you, Andrea, very much for helping me with this.
Go ahead.
So just for clarity, because Councillor Fellner, you just said for us to bring something back for council to consider at the next meeting. We will not be in any position to bring you back a bylaw at the next meeting. That is in 2 weeks. That is in 2 weeks' time. As per council's procedural bylaw, what is happening here today is you're providing a notice of motion. So you're giving council notice that at the next meeting, there will be a motion that will be tabled for you to consider and vote on at that point to instruct staff to undertake the development of a rock crushing bylaw, which we can discuss timing at that point, but it will certainly not be in 2 weeks. I can assure you of that.
Thought I was being a good student, but I guess I wasn't, eh? Thank you, Jason. So that's what I'm asking, or no, I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm telling you that that's what's going to come. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And now we're back to Michelle with the tax ratios. I have a motion that bylaw number 2025-021, being a bylaw for establishing tax ratios, is hereby deemed to have been read a first, second, and third time and passed by council. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Okay. Any questions for Michelle? It's an annual exercise here. Councillor Bazinski.
I don't know if this is appropriate because you're talking about ratios, but the new, or the reduction in tax that you've just got direction to go with, will that be reflected in this?
These are the tax ratios that determine how all of the tax rates relate to the residential rate. So that will be reflected ultimately, but these ratios do not reflect that rate or do not affect that rate at all.
Okay, but the reduction in tax will be proportionately along these ratios.
That's correct.
Yeah, thank you.
Other questions? All in favor of approving the tax ratios? Thank you. Oh, and I have a motion that bylaw number 2025-022, being a bylaw to authorize a guarantee pursuant to a letter loan agreement in respect of financing to be provided to the West Perry Sound Recreation and Cultural Center Joint Municipal Services Board is hereby deemed to have been read a first, second, and third time and passed by council. Could I have somebody, Terry? And a seconder, Ken? Do you want to speak to this at all?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll just provide a little bit of a brief insight into this. This is a construction loan. This is construction financing. Despite what some may read in the public realm, this is not an additional loan. We're not forecasting any additional dollars that are going to be a requirement of the township. The reality of the project is that we are spending on average upwards of $2 million per month in construction costs right now. And while we have a certain amount of money in the bank, and while 73.33% of that gets returned to us through the ICIP grant funding, the turnaround time from when we have to pay the bills and when we get refunded our 73.33% by the federal and provincial governments is at times greater than 3 and 4 months. So there are periods of time where we don't have enough cash on hand because we're waiting for those reimbursements to come. So this is us guaranteeing our proportionate share of construction financing that the board will take out this loan. We just have to guarantee it because we are one of the owners. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes.
Councillor Collins.
And so that amount is listed here with Seguin 717,000. What's that? Is that what?
That's our portion of the guarantee.
Yeah. Well, it's not?
Thus far, we've advanced $717,000 to cover these costs, construction costs. That'll be paid back to us immediately upon execution of this agreement.
Oh, okay, so the total is 3 million or $4 million? Like, I don't understand. So like there's 13.5, there's all these other figures here, and then Perry Sound wants us to guarantee, or does Perry Sound guarantee the 4 million, or is that part of ours too?
Councillor Collins, perhaps I could help.
Oh, okay, thanks.
So the total loan guarantee is 13.5 million.
Oh,
Our
13.
share of that is 3.9. And there is a listing on page 464 of the package that shows how each of the municipalities' share of that 13.5 is allocated.
Okay, that's good to know.
And perhaps I can just jump in and I'll walk everyone through it so that of the $13.5 million construction loan to cover construction costs, I'm just going to use round numbers here. 3.9 of that is guaranteed by the town of Perry Sound. 3.5 of that is guaranteed by Seguin Township.
Okay, there you go.
2.6 by McDougall, 1.9 by the Archipelago, 1.5 by Carling.
Okay. Got it. Okay. It is what it is.
All in favor? Thank you. We move on to council reports. Ken, you get the honors to go first today.
It's gonna be quick, because actually a quiet month. Let's look. Oh, that's April. March the 14th, I attended the firemen's display at the museum. I think I was the only one that wasn't a fireman. Millie, can't think of her last name, Millie Thompson, did a presentation, and so did Mayor Dale Robinson, talking about the history of the fire. And it was a good display, a nice display, and some of the older equipment looked like it was pretty challenging. On the 27th, I attended the Recreation and Culture meeting. And actually their chamber meeting I canceled. Actually, the phones have been quiet and it's been pretty good. So that's my report for today.
Councillor Bazinski.
On March the 21st, I attended a Muskoka Watershed Council meeting. There was a presentation made by a young lady that was completing her PhD thesis. It was a little above my pay grade, but very interesting. And there's been a change in terms of the chair of the council, and they're looking at new meeting dates, so they won't be on a Friday, which is good for me. On the 27th, I attended an IceCap meeting, and I got 80% through the meeting, and then my computer froze. I'm not quite sure why, but that wasn't the only thing that was freezing recently. But that's my report. There were no real issues in terms of anything. I mean, obviously there were questions with respect to roads and so on, but it was pretty evident.
Councillor Fellner.
Thank you, Mayor. Since the last meeting, I guess we'll do it. So most of March and a little bit of April. I attended a meeting for the new recreation center and pool back in the second week of March. I also attended the Seguin Recreation Committee meeting that my fellow councilor referred to. I just recently was at Good Roads, and we'll have a report for next meeting. It was very interesting as usual, very good exhibits for someone with a heavy civil background. That kind of stuff's interesting to me, so might not be to anybody else, but it was to me. I did one other thing, and it was on the tip of my tongue, and I can't actually remember what it is. Councillor Getty is away, and he asked me if I would read this on his behalf. And it's regards to our library and the activities that they had for March break. So the 2025 March break programming at Seguin Public Libraries was a big success, with a variety of activities that engage children, teens, and families, from hands-on STEAM STEAM projects like creating scribble bots to craft sessions, trivia nights, and slime making. We saw strong participation and enthusiasm. I would think for the slime for sure. The key highlights included family trivia night, which had our highest attendance, 29 participants. Creative crafts where we made 150 items. In total, we had 355 visits with 95 people attending programs. That's outstanding, really, I think. Feedback was overwhelmingly positive, with families praising the variety and quality of events. There was also an increase in engagement with library resources, including book boring. The success of this year's programming shows the library continues to be an important community hub. We're excited to build on this momentum for future events and look forward to even more participation next year. Greg didn't get a chance to ask at the meeting, last week. But did any of you all have any comments on the changes to library hours? If you do, he'd like to hear from you. And that sums it up, but it sounds very positive, and I think the library is heading in the right direction, and the programming for the public is obviously being well received, and I, for one, would think they're doing a very good job. Thank you.
Councillor Collins.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one piece of advice here for everyone who wants to go to the District of Perry South Municipal Association fall meeting at the Orville Community Center on Friday, September 26th. That's the date of the District of Perry South Municipal Association conference.
Just a question.
Yes.
Is the district doing the organizing, or are you doing the organizing? Are we doing?
Oh, no, it'll be community services, of course.
It's taken care of? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, at times we did have, we did outsource to some people that, they're getting old now. They don't do it anymore. And so it's our responsibility to make sure that this is done right, done the right way. And yeah, so I mean, who's better to do it? The community services, not specifically the rec committee, but
What's the date again?
September 26th. It's a Friday.
Thank you.
Just a question. Who gets the guest speakers?
That's still being worked on.
You. Okay.
Huh? Well, I know we have another meeting coming up in May, I believe, isn't it? Yeah, that we're all going to, so.
Okay. Councillor Finson. I don't know where you are, but it's snowing outside here.
Oh, I'm not there. I'll be there tomorrow, unfortunately. Speak about March break. My granddaughter and my son skated at the arena a couple of days in a row and absolutely loved it. She skis, but she's had no experience skating, and she was so overjoyed to have those beautiful little things that she can hang on to. So she finally got in skating twice in a row. And they also went to my sister-in-law, my son, and my granddaughter went to the trivia night, and they had a ball. And they said it was unbelievably organized. They had candy, they had things at the table. They were just over the moon. It was really, really well done. So kudos to the library and everybody that helped, and the arena. It was a really fabulous March break. So, and everybody in my house enjoyed it. On the 18th of March, I had a Rosso Caring community meeting. We planned the meal for the next lunch and learn, and we also have feedback about the lunch before. Feedback was amazing. We had Ryan Hockrig from Hockrig's come, and it was fabulous. He talked to the seniors about changing their tires and things like that, gave them a gift, paid for the whole lunch. It was amazing. It was really, really well done. So that was the lunch and learn. And March the 19th, I went to a meeting for the Easter Bunny Bash. We've organized what we're doing, and we've gotten tremendous support from the township. And March the 20th, I went to cards at the hall, which got interrupted by the falling tree at the post office. And so nobody showed up for cards, which was a good thing because they couldn't get by because of the tree. Anyway, so that was taken care of beautifully by the hydro and the township and the firefighters. They were all amazing. I know it was a little rough on them, but they took it all in stride and were amazing. Then on the 24th, I was at a Belvedere Heights Finance Committee meeting. The 26th, I was at a board meeting for Belvedere Heights. The 27th, the 26th again, I was at the Rossville Community Hall for a fundraising meeting for the hall. There was also a subcommittee meeting that didn't go on, and it's to discuss the gala event that we'll be having at the Rossville Lake College on the 12th of July, as well as the fashion show, and more information will come later. I think that, there was one other thing that I had some people call about not being able to get their propane, and the township handled it beautifully, and the propane restriction was lifted just for people affected by the storm, and the propane restrictions made it longer to get your propane because they could only use a small truck. So it's all been taken care of, and everybody seems to be getting what they need. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a few things. On March 4th, I attended Muskoka Watershed Flood Warning, which then I forwarded on to Valerie, and she's been posting them on our website. I don't know about others, but the lake levels on Joe and Rosso have gone up by 32 inches in 3 weeks. It's amazing. On the 7th of March, Jason and I met with representatives of Camp George to show us what they're doing this year after their fire. All the building that's going to happen this summer is temporary, but they plan to have a full roster of campers. Then on the 12th, we had the Recreation and Culture Center meeting. The 18th, I had a fundraising meeting. On the 31st, I attended the semi-annual meeting of the hospital, where the hospital board updates mayors and elected representatives on what's going on in the hospital. It's a couple points. April 9th, which is Wednesday, is actually the 20th anniversary of the hospital. It's hard to believe that the new hospital is now 20 years old. EMS has bought 3 new ambulances, and they're hoping that the community outreach using the EMS personnel to do wellness checks will be extended by the province. It's really cutting down emergency room visits to have the paramedics, when they're not on emergency call, doing wellness checks in people's homes. They do say that what they call episodic availability in the nursing stations is being reduced because the nursing stations are being asked to take a full roster of regular patients. There's reporting that admissions are way up, and patients are generally sicker than they've been in previous years, mainly because they're more seniors. COVID is virtually gone from our area, but steadily declining. We still have no orthopedic services in Parry Sound. You have to go to Sudbury if there's anything orthopedic needing. They are actively recruiting physicians, but there's a shortage all over Canada, and they're preparing for the summer surge. The health system leaders want to be consulted on all township official plans, which was the first time I've heard this. And the other news, which Gail will be very familiar with, is that the hospital and Belvedere are parting ways in terms of sharing services. It was presented as though it was a surprise to the hospital, but I happen to know that it really didn't come across that way. But that's how it was presented at that meeting. And then on the 3rd, we had a business committee meeting, and last Thursday night was the joint meeting of our business committee with the Chamber of Commerce on the impact of tariffs on our area. They had 39 attendees at Canadore, and the speakers were from the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, and gave really quite interesting presentations, and you can see it on YouTube. And they're planning a second roundtable probably sometime in May. It was well attended, and the people that were there asked for more. So that's an outreach. Over to you, Jason.
Thank you, Worship. Seguin Township is celebrating Earth Day on Tuesday, April 22nd at the Humphrey Nature Trails and Barn between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. There'll be guided nature walk, refreshments, games, and crafts. The team is also giving away free white spruce seedlings and wildflower seeds. This event is hosted in partnership with the Georgian Bay Biosphere. Organizers will share updates about rain plan should the event need to be relocated, or maybe a snow plan, I'm not sure. Ball hockey is back at the Humphrey Arena starting Wednesday, April 30th. This is a drop-in 5-week program, and it's free thanks to the very generous support of an anonymous donor. So please note that we do need volunteers for this program to run it. So feel free to visit seguin.ca/ballhockey for more information. Seguin Public Libraries is asking for feedback on existing programs and ideas for future programs. You can visit letsconnectseguin.ca to complete their survey. And staff would like to remind residents that the letsconnectseguin.ca website is an excellent resource to share feedback, get background information, and the latest developments on several timely topics, including significant ones such as the official plan and the MZO lands. Hard not to acknowledge that we had a little bit of an ice storm, and Public Works crews have done an excellent job of getting caught up doing the cleanup from last week's ice storm. Seguin crews have also extended their efforts to help our neighbors in Muskoka Lakes who were much harder hit by the storm. We really do want to thank everyone for their patience and cooperation during this weather event. We recognize it's not over for everybody. We still have power outages across the municipality, although not nearly as widespread. They continue to be power outages and disruptions to service. But we certainly were spared by Mother Nature compared to some of our neighboring municipalities, specifically to the south, where the damage is extensive and cleanup and recovery is going to take quite some time with declared emergencies all over the place. And Seguin staff would also like to remind contractors that load restrictions on township roads remain in place for the foreseeable future as temperatures and conditions continue to fluctuate. Councillor Finson did note about if you have home heating needs, that we're here to help get the home heating products to your homes, but for the contractors who are looking to get an early start on construction, half loads remain in effect. That's it for me, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. I have a motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby receive board and committee minutes and agendas and the correspondence as presented on the agenda and the addendum for April 7th, 2025 meeting of council. Sure. All in favor? And I have a motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby proceed to a closed meeting at 3:44 p.m. in order to address matters pertaining to litigation or potential litigation, including matters before the administrative tribunals affecting the municipality, specifically on the Ontario Land Tribunal Memorandum of Oral Decision on Lucock at 174 Hamer Bay Road, the Ontario Land Tribunal Notice of Appeal for a minor variance for Cosma on Summit Drive, and some correspondence from Eric K. Gillespie Professional Corporation relating to the Ontario Camp for the Deaf, and a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality. Could I have a motion to move into closed? Terry? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, I have a motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby rise from the closed session. Declare the regular meeting reconvened at 4:09 PM. Hoover, Ken? Seconder? Ted? All in favor? Thank you. And I have a motion that bylaw number 2025-23-023, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of meetings of council, is hereby deemed to have been read a first, second, and third time and passed by council. Mover? Okay. Gail? All in favor? Thank you. And I have a motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby adjourn this meeting of council at 4:10 PM to meet again on Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025, or at the call of the mayor. Terry? And all in favor? Drive safely, everybody.